Get in, nerds. It's time for Warp Wars. All right, back again. Walk on the back of the property. Today we're talking about Warp Wars. It is hot. It's like 87 degrees. I live in Maine. We're not supposed to have this. This is crazy. I'm melting. And then my garage is like super humid. But we're going to do it so I can show you a cool game. All right, I found a cool rock. I'm channeling my inner Bob the World Builder. So what's cool about Warp Wars? I'd say the big reason why I wanted to make this game is because wargaming takes forever. I love it. I love every minute of it. But you play 40K and you're like, you got to block out a whole afternoon. Even skirmish games, many of them, it's like a 2-hour endeavor. I got kids, man. I got adult responsibilities that I barely keep up with. And so I wanted a game. It's like the same thing, but like I could have friends over. We can play a game in a side room and then get back to everybody else. You know, I can play 2-3 games in an hour of this. And that's one of the reasons why I like it the most. So anyway, let's jump back into it. Side note, our shed is getting worked on by my father-in-law. And it's not for me. It's supposed to be a she shed. But it's beautiful. We're going in. And don't tell anybody. I'm claiming it. One day, this is going to be mine for gaming. All right. All right, let's get into Warp Wars. So, here's the premise. You've been sucked into a wormhole, and you ended up on the planet Orus. And Orus sucks. And you can't get off that planet without winning 5 games in the warp pit. So, you're going to duke it out with other miscreants like yourself, and hopefully you survive, but probably not. All right, so let's get into the rules. Characters in Warp Wars are called miscreants, and every miscreant has 4 stats that they're going to use throughout the course of the game. And those are body, movement, attack, and warp. Body is the amount of health you have. If that hits 0, you're dead. Movement is a number that you're going to add to a die roll to move. Attack, that's both ranged and melee. That's a number you're going to add to a die roll as well. And then warp. Basically, the warp changed you and a power manifested, and so you'll get some kind of special power. Again, that's a number that you're going to add to a die roll, either to hit a target or against the opposing player's warp. So on your turn, what you do is you're going to roll 2d6, and those are separate die rolls that are your action dice. And your 3 options are movement, attack, and warp, and you get to use those 2 action dice to do 2 of those 3 things every turn, and you get to compare the numbers to your stats to decide what's going to work and what doesn't. All right, that's the base rules. Let's make a character. So making a miscreant is super easy. So we're going to make one for this guy here. He's so cool. We're going to call him Freddy Fungus. So we're going to write his name down, and the very next thing we're going to do is we're going to select a favorite food and a catchphrase. The catchphrase is very important. Not mechanically, but just because games are cool and you should have catchphrases. Favorite foods. He's an alien. We're going to put squid. Catchphrase. We're going to go simple on this one. Booyah. All right, and we've got a win tracker up next. And then after that, we've got our stats. So the first thing we're going to shade in 4 spaces, which is your starting health. And then the way stats work is I get 4 points, and I can spread those out between these, but with a maximum of 2 in any category. Well, why is there more boxes than that? Well, that's because things can change throughout the game that give you benefits. So for Freddy Fungus, what we're going to do, we're going to give him 1 extra health. We're going to give him 2 attack. And we're going to give him 1 warp. And no bonus to movement, so he's up to the die roll for movement. So the next two steps are selecting armor and selecting a weapon set. Armor, there's three options, and for our example for Freddy Fungus, we're going to give him a kinetic vest. So I'm going to fill in two boxes, and our special ability with our armor is the first hit is completely negated. Interesting to note about armor is that armor degrades every time you're hit, which means games end up steamrolling towards an end faster because armor is degrading faster than you can either repair it or not get hit. All right, next we're going to choose our weapon set, which is a ranged and a melee weapon of the same technology. And for this one, we're going to do kinetic cannon. Basically, on a hit, you're going to roll an extra d6, and if you get a 6, it's 2 body of damage. Normally, all weapons start out just doing 1 point of damage, but that's a 1 in 6 chance of doing extra. Our last step is to choose a warp ability, and there's 6 different ones in the book. For our character here, we're going to take Psychic Shove. Basically, you can push other miscreants, and if you make them fall, they'll take fall damage. All right, so we've got our characters made. The next thing we need to do, we need to choose an event theme to start our warp war. And so there's 6 in the book. You can either randomize that or just choose one that you like, and that will affect different things that happen during the course of your game in the warp pits. I think I had Thor Ragnarok on my mind when I was making this. I was like, man, it'd be cool if the theme of this game was that it was a televised, like, gladiatory face-off, and the audience votes on things to happen. And so the way that looks in the mechanics is there's a d6 roll that you roll at the end of every round, and then something random happens within the event theme. All right, there's 6 different choices in the book for event themes, and we're going to go with the one called The Floor is Lava. All right, we got our terrain set up. We chose our event theme. Our characters are ready. So the next thing we're going to do is an initiative roll-off. So that's 2d6, re-roll ties. So Freddy Fungus. Ooh, 2 6s. Nice. Not that. 5 and 5. All right, Freddy Fungus is going first. All right, Freddy won the initiative, so he's going to choose this corner here, and then the opposing player has to choose the opposite corner. They can be anywhere in the quadrant on the base level in the corner. Now, if you were going to play free-for-all or teams, you can do that. All you have to do is add the extra players into the initiative order, and what I recommend doing is whoever wins initiative each round, just go clockwise around the table after that. All right, so Freddy gets to go first, and the first thing he's going to do on his turn, he's going to roll 2d6. That's his action dice. He's then going to compare those numbers to his stats to decide what actions he wants to take, either movement, attack, or warp. In the book, when you move, if you get a 1 through 3 total on your movement roll, it's moving 1 quadrant. If you get a 4 and up, it is 2 quadrants of movement. So let's just say, for the example, that Freddy has a total of 4 for his movement. He gets to move 2 quadrants. Well, the first thing he's going to do is he's going to climb this block. Climbing 1 block of terrain is 1 quadrant of movement. The next thing he's going to do is move over here. So that's how movement works. Now, when you move into a new quadrant, you can move anywhere within the quadrant at the level that you move into. So if his first movement was here, he could go anywhere within this movement. Or if his second move goes here, anywhere on this level in this quadrant. Now let's show an example of attacking. So Freddy has used one of his action dice to move. He's got line of sight. He's ready to attack. He takes his second action die. He adds his attack stat, and that total is against the opponent's die roll plus his current armor value. If Freddy beats the enemy, it does 1 body of damage. If he doesn't, it's a miss. Tie goes to the defender. So our last option is warp powers. So if you chose to use your warp ability, you would just take one of your action die rolls, add your warp stat, and if it hits the target or it beats the defender's opposing warp score, that power would succeed. All right, so far we've done initiative and both of our players have gone. The next thing we're going to do is move into the events phase. All you're going to do is roll a d6 and compare it into the scenario that you're currently playing. And that's like audience votes coming in to decide what happens to you. For ours, let's just say we rolled a 5, and in the floor is lava. A 5 gives you the result of every miscreant that's on the ground level takes 1 body of damage as lava is coming up from the ground. So you better get some high ground. So that's how the events work. And then after that, crystal shards spawn. Basically, these are currency where part of the televised audience can send them out and support certain players. And then you can imagine little vending machines in the walls that you can buy things in between rounds. Maybe that's something to repair your armor or heal you or give you a reroll, something like that. Or you can save your crystal shards. 10 crystal shards buys you a victory certificate. And remember, 5 victories gets you a ticket off planet. So if you wanted to, you could even do a player that just runs around collecting crystal shards and doesn't fight at all to try to get out of the warp pit. So we've done initiative. Our players have gone. We've done the events roll, we resolved it, we spawned crystal shards, we spent crystal shards. After that, we just go back to the top, and we keep doing this cycle until the game is over, one of you is dead. So from there, the winner gets an extra crystal shard. Maybe they're saving up. They can even buy a new warp power if they save up enough, or they can buy a victory. They also get to keep their items and stuff like that they've purchased that they haven't used. And the loser has to roll on the death roll. When rolling on a death roll, you can spend crystal shards to boost your roll if you don't like the roll and you want to try to keep this character alive for an escape. So that's Warp Wars. Really simple game and a ton of fun. All right, so what do you need to play a game of Warp Wars? Well, this is a great game for crafters because it's fun pieces to build, but there's not many of them. So we'll start with this. This is our board. This is a 12-inch dungeon tile divided into 9 quadrants. Those are 4-inch squares. Really quick craft. Next, we've got terrain blocks. I'd say you need 8 to 10 of these, and you want these to be smaller than the sides of your quadrants, maybe 2 by 2. These are a little bigger than that because they are, if you look down here, you can see these are foam dice from the dollar store that I added some nails to for weight, glued some cardboard chunks on there, sponge painted. Really easy to make those, really fast, and I've got 8 of those for this board. Works great. I also throw in a couple of bridges. It makes the terrain more interesting. You need 2 Sci-Fi minis to play, or at least 1 for each player. These are Anvil Industries cyberpunk and apocalyptic bodies and weapons, and then I also got War Games Atlantic alien heads because they're really funny looking. What else do you need? Crystal shards. These are just little gemstones and counting discs all glued together, and you can get all of that at the dollar store. These are about the size of a dime, which is great. I like them small like that so that way they don't take up a lot of space on the table. And then this cheap PDF, and you can send this to Staples and they'll print it for you. I got like 12 of these for I think $6. That's such a good deal. And then everybody can have one, everybody can play, everybody's got a reference. And that's all you need to play. Well, I guess D6s, but you've got like 1,000 of those. I know you do. I know you've got 1,000 of them. So, as of launching this video, Warp Wars is going to be on sale for the next 7 days, down from $3 to $1. Why? Because it's fun and I want you to try it. And you can't even get coffee for $1. So go pick it up. It's on DriveThruRPG. The link is in my link tree. You'll find it there. Also, if anybody out there wants to illustrate a crazy weird cover for this game, I'd love to be able to update the PDF. I don't know, I'll barter with you. Maybe I'll 3D print you some minis or something dumb. I don't know, we can chat. But if you're interested in that, shoot me a message on Instagram and I'd love to chat. Well, I guess that's it. Go check out Warp Wars. It's a fun game. Let me know what you think, and we'll see you in the next video.